Hey, deep divers. Welcome back to Talk Tensors, the show where we dig into the latest and greatest in machine learning research.
That's right.
And today, we're looking at how much we can really trust those explanations that AI systems give us, especially when the stakes are high.
Yeah, especially in high stakes situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to be dissecting this paper titled Improving Stability Estimates in Adversarial Explainable AI Through Alternate Search Methods. And let me tell you, this paper is a real eye-opener.
It really is. And what's so fascinating about this paper is that the authors go beyond just saying, hey, these explanations can be a bit iffy sometimes.
Yeah.
They actually try to quantify that unreliability.
Right.
So it's like they're stress testing those explanations to see exactly how much you can bend them before they break.
Oh, that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's set the stage here for our listeners. We're talking about explainable AI, or XAI for short.
All right.
And essentially, as machine learning models, especially these deep learning ones, get more complex, it gets harder and harder to understand.
Yeah.
WHY they make the decisions they do.
Exactly. It's like you have this super smart black box, right? Data goes in, decisions come out.
Yep.
But what happens in between is a total mystery.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, especially when these decisions have real-world consequences.
Yeah.
And XAI aims to kind of pry open that black box
Right.
and shed some light on what's going on in there.
Give us some reasoning behind these decisions.
Exactly.
So it's like if an AI is recommending a medical treatment or deciding who gets a loan,
Right.
we want to be able to peek inside
Yeah.
and understand how it arrived at that conclusion.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to just blindly trust a black box
That's right, yeah.
with such important decisions.
No, absolutely not.
You know, one of the popular methods for achieving this explainability is called LIME.
Right.
And that stands for Local Interpretable Model Agnostic Explanations.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah.
I remember when LIME first hit the scene, it was a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it was huge.
Everyone was excited about finally being able to get some insights into these black box models.
Right.
So how does LIME actually work?
So essentially, LIME gives you a ranked list of features.
Okay.
You can think of them like the key ingredients in the AI's decision-making recipe.
Okay.
So if we're talking about text, for example, these features might be specific words or phrases
Okay.
that heavily influenced the model's prediction.
So it's like LIME is shining a flashlight into the black box
Right.
and highlighting the most influential factors.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
It on the surface.
But this paper suggests that things might not be as clear-cut as we thought.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Hopeful.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Oh.
Researchers have discovered that these LIME explanations, while they are helpful, can be surprisingly fragile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even making small tweaks to the input data can sometimes completely change the explanation that LIME spits out.
Hold on. So you're saying that just simply swapping a word with a synonym could make the AI completely rethink its reasoning?
That's exactly what some studies have found,
Right.
which is a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, that does seem a bit shaky.
Yeah, it's like building a house on a foundation of sand.
Oh, yeah.
One little shift and the whole thing could crumble.
So this paper dives into just how unstable these explanations can be.
Exactly.
Huh.
And they actually go a step further.
Okay.
They try to pinpoint the minimum number of changes needed to essentially break an explanation to make it flip-flop.
Oh, wow.
And to do this, they use this really neat trick called a genetic algorithm.
I've heard of genetic algorithms, but those are usually associated with things like optimizing designs or
Right.
solving some complex problems.
Exactly.
How do they apply to XAI?
So imagine you're trying to change an AI's mind
Okay.
by swapping words in a text.
Okay.
A genetic algorithm helps us find the fewest changes needed.
Wow.
It's like a super smart word puzzle solver.
Oh.
And they compare this approach to the usual brute force method,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of like randomly trying different word swaps until something works.
So it's like having a highly skilled detective
Yes.
who can quickly zero in on those crucial clues
Exactly.
versus someone randomly flipping through files hoping to stumble upon the answer.
That's a great way to put it.
So what did they find when they applied this genetic algorithm to LIME explanations?
Well, they tested this out on 2 different data sets.
Okay.
One with short texts from Twitter and another with kind of medium-length descriptions of medical symptoms.
Oh.
And guess what?
What?
The genetic algorithm consistently found ways to flip the AI's explanation with fewer word changes than the brute force method.
Oh, so that means that LIME is even more vulnerable than we thought.
It seems that way.
Okay, that's a bit concerning, to say the least.
It definitely raises some red flags.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Oh, okay.
They also discovered that how you measure the changes in those explanations makes a huge difference
Oh, really?
in whether Lyme looks stable or not.
So you're saying an explanation could look rock solid according to one measurement,
Right.
but then completely flimsy using another.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's like saying my weight changes depending on the scale I use.
Exactly. It's all about how you're measuring things.
Oh, okay. Wow.
There are different ways to compare how similar two explanations are,
Okay.
each with its own quirks.
Gotcha.
And depending on which one you use, you might come to very different conclusions about how stable Lyme is.
Okay, so let's step back for a second.
Yeah.
Why should our listeners, who might not be AI researchers, care about any of this?
That's a great question.
How does this impact their everyday lives?
Well, as AI becomes more and more ingrained in our lives,
Yeah.
it's crucial to understand its limitations.
Okay.
We can't just blindly trust these systems without understanding how they work, and more importantly, how stable their explanations are.
Yeah, because otherwise we're essentially handing over decision-making power to these algorithms without any real oversight.
Right.
And if those decisions are based on shaky explanations,
Yeah,
that's a recipe for disaster.
exactly. Imagine a scenario where an AI is helping judges make sentencing decisions.
Oh.
If the system recommends a harsh sentence based on an explanation that later turns out to be unreliable,
Yeah.
that has serious ethical implications.
Absolutely. Someone's freedom could be hanging in the balance based on an explanation that was easily manipulated.
Right.
That's a chilling thought.
It is, and it's not just about the legal system either. We're
Yeah.
talking about AI being used in healthcare, finance, education, and countless other domains that directly impact people's lives.
Right.
If we can't trust the explanations these systems provide,
Yeah.
we can't fully trust the systems themselves.
So this research isn't just an academic exercise.
No, not at all.
It has profound real-world consequences for how we develop, deploy, and use AI in a responsible and ethical manner.
Absolutely. It highlights the need for continuous research and development in explainable AI.
Yeah.
We need to find ways to make these explanations more robust, transparent, and trustworthy.
Now, I know some people might be tempted to throw their hands up and say, well, if XAI is this flawed, maybe we should just abandon it altogether.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't think that's the right approach, is it?
No, I don't think so either. Remember those early airplanes?
Oh, yeah.
They were notoriously unstable and prone to crashes.
Yeah.
But we didn't give up on the dream of flight. We
Right.
kept iterating, experimenting, and making improvements until we had airplanes that were safe and reliable.
Right.
XAI is still in its early stages of development, and this research is a crucial step towards making it more trustworthy.
So it's a reminder that we need to approach AI with a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking.
Yeah,
We need to ask tough questions, demand transparency, and hold these systems accountable.
exactly. We can't simply be awed by AI's capabilities.
Right.
We need to be discerning users and developers who prioritize robustness and reliability.
Okay. So we've talked about the fragility of Lyme explanations, the importance of measurement, and the real-world implications of all this. But now let's get to the fun part. What does this research mean for the future of AI? What kind of new directions could it lead to? Okay, so we've talked about the fragility of Lyme explanations, the importance of measurement, and the real-world implications of all this. But now it's time for novel notions. That's my favorite.
Yeah, me too. It's
Yeah.
where we get to kind of speculate and explore uncharted territory.
Yeah, exactly. So the paper used a genetic algorithm to find the weakest points in an explanation. The words you could change to make the AI flip its decision. But what if we flip that on its head?
Oh, okay, interesting.
What if we use that knowledge to actually make AI models more robust?
Oh, that's a really cool idea.
So instead of trying to break the explanations,
Right.
we would be using these techniques to actually strengthen the AI models themselves.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a kind of adversarial training, but instead of trying to break the explanations, we're using it to make the model itself stronger.
Right. What if instead of feeding the model perfect data, we intentionally threw in some curveballs during training, subtle changes that are designed to kind of make it trip up a little bit?
Almost like giving the AI a vaccine,
Yes.
exposing it to a weakened version of the virus so it can build up immunity.
Exactly. Exposing it to these carefully crafted perturbations could force it to learn more robust features
Right.
and become less sensitive to those small changes in the input.
It's like teaching the model to focus on the truly important signals in the data
Right.
and not get distracted by all the irrelevant noise.
If we could do that, we might end up with AI models that are not only more accurate but also more resistant to these kinds of attacks.
It's a bold idea. It would definitely require a lot of experimentation.
For sure.
But it's not entirely out there. Think about cybersecurity. We use penetration testing to find vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And then we patch those vulnerabilities to make our systems more secure.
Right.
Could we apply a similar approach to AI model development?
That's a really good point. It's definitely worth exploring. Now, for our second novel notion, let's think about the societal implications of all this. If we can figure out how to make XAI more trustworthy, could we use that to create a kind of AI audit trail?
I like where you're going with this. You're envisioning a world where every important AI decision that affects people's lives comes with a clear, transparent, and auditable explanation.
Exactly. Think about loan applications, parole hearings, medical diagnoses. If an AI is making these decisions, shouldn't we have a way to trace its reasoning, to hold it accountable if something goes wrong?
Absolutely. An AI audit trail would provide that much-needed layer of accountability and transparency.
Right.
It could help us identify biases, detect errors, and make sure AI is being used ethically.
It would be like a black box recorder for AI decisions,
That's good.
allowing us to go back and understand exactly how and why a particular decision was made.
And this could have huge implications for legal and regulatory frameworks. Imagine using this AI audit trail as evidence in court cases involving AI-related disputes.
Wow, that would revolutionize how we think about AI liability and responsibility.
Of course, creating such a system wouldn't be easy.
Right.
We'd need to develop new standards for XAI, figure out how to store and access this data securely, and address all sorts of privacy concerns.
But the potential benefits are enormous.
Yeah.
An AI audit trail could help us build a future where AI is not just powerful, but also accountable, transparent, and aligned with human values.
A worthy goal, for sure.
Well, that wraps up another deep dive here on Talk Tensors. As always, we hope this has sparked your curiosity and given you plenty to think about.
And remember to keep exploring the fascinating world of AI and always ask those tough questions.
Right. Don't forget to check out the link to the paper in the show notes if you want to delve deeper into the research we discussed today. And until next time, happy tensoring.